I'm going to show you how to use Power Query that comes with Microsoft Power BI and Excel. What is Power Query? Well, very simply put, it helps you get and clean up your data. But what do I mean by that? Let's say you're an analyst and every month your job is to analyze and clean up the monthly revenue data. But one of the struggles of the job is each month you have to get the data, you have to clean it up by adding the same columns, filtering out the same cells, and making sure the data is finally ready for you to analyze it. Most of your time is doing the same routine tasks day after day or month after month. Instead, you can use Power Query to automate all of that for you. You can streamline your entire process, and best of all, you don't have to know any coding to do this. Let's get started. Welcome back, let's get started. First, I've included some sample data in the description below if you'd like to follow along. Let's take a look at our data. Our sales folder contains 3 years of Excel revenue data from 2020, 2021, and 2022. All the files are formatted the same way, so let's go ahead and open up 2020's revenue data and take a look. As you can see, our Excel file has fairly simple columns. It has order number, customer ID, pizzas shipped, revenue, cost, order date, ship date, and order status. Now each year my goal is to make the same report, but unfortunately most of my time is spent cleaning up the data. For instance, I don't know why customer ID and customer name are combined. Also, pizza units sold is in dollars, but this should be a quantity. Also, you can see there's no profit column. We have to make our own profit column each time by taking revenue minus cost. And lastly, I personally want to know how long does it take to fulfill a traditional pizza order. We can see order date and we can see ship date, but there's no column that clarifies how many days it took us to process each order. And worst of all, each year I have to do this all again and again. There has to be an easier way to automate all of these steps. That's where we'll use Power Query. You can use Power Query in both Power BI and Excel. In this tutorial, we'll be using Power BI's interface. If you don't have Power BI installed yet, no worries. Check out our first video on our playlist here on how to download and install Power BI for free. First, open up Power BI Desktop on your computer. Then select Get Data. You can get your data from practically anywhere. Here are some of the most popular. I mentioned earlier that all of our files are saved in the Sales folder. I recommend selecting Browse and choosing that folder. For today's video, I've already copied that location, so I'm going to go ahead and simply paste it here. As you can see, here are 3 different Excel files, and at the bottom we are given 3 options on what we want to do next. Combine allows us to merge all of the files into one master file. Load makes no changes to the data, simply takes it as is. And Transform data allows us to make unique changes to each file. In this video, we want to combine all of our sources together so we can automate some of these tasks. But we also have some changes that we discussed earlier that we'd like to make. So let's choose Combine and Transform Data. Another prompt will open, helping us to combine all of our files. First, we want to select the worksheet we'd like to combine. Since all of our files only have one worksheet called Order Data, let's go ahead and select this one. Now you'll be able to preview your data, and let's select OK. This opens up Power Query. If you've never used Power Query before, the user interface might look a little overwhelming, but I assure you it's very easy to navigate and we'll walk through it step by step. Starting on the left side, we'll be able to see our query names. Queries are essentially our data sources. As you can see, here's our sales folder. And above that, Power BI has added some helper queries. All these are is Power BI combining all of our 3 files into one. This will all start to make sense in just a moment. On the right side are the applied steps. This is where we'll transform the data in the ways we mentioned earlier. Up across the top, you'll see a ribbon with several different options. Just like other Microsoft products, these will be used to format our data. In the center, we can view our data. Power BI only displays our top 1,000 rows of data in this preview, but once we've made all of our changes, our transformations will apply to each line in our data set. Now the fun part. Let's go ahead and transform our data. First, I don't really need the source name of each of our files, so let's go ahead and delete this by right-clicking and selecting Remove. Here I see order ID, and it all looks pretty good, except I do see some dummy transactions listed as 6X's. See, anytime we give away free pizza as a fundraiser, this is how we denote that order number. Since we are looking only at revenue dollars, I would like to exclude these from our data. To filter them out, let's click on the little filter icon here, search for the X's, and uncheck it. This will exclude them from our data set. Next, we were complaining about how customer ID is always combined with customer name. We want to split up these two columns. To do this, right-click on the column and select Split by Delimiter. Here, we can choose the icon we want to split our data by. For this, let's choose the slash and press OK. Great, that split our columns, but if you look at the column names, it renamed them ID1 and Customer ID2. To update these, double-click the name in the column header, and let's update these to Customer ID and Customer Name. Next, we mentioned that there wasn't a profit column. Profit is our revenue column minus our cost column. Let's select both columns and navigate to the ribbon above. Choose Add Column. Within the Add Column page, there's a bunch of different drop-downs we can use. There's one here for standard math functions. Click this and choose Subtract. And just like that, this adds a column at the end of our data set called Subtraction. Let's rename this by double-clicking in the header again and calling it Profit. Let's also move this column closer to revenue and cost. To do this, simply click the column and drag it to the left until it's placed right after cost. Next, revenue, cost, and profit should all be noted in dollars. To update this, let's select all three columns, right-click, change type, and choose currency. Fantastic. Now all the columns are in dollars, and that's indicated by the $sign here. Next, on the right side, we can see order date and ship date. But like we discussed, we can't see how long it took to fulfill that order. I heard some news lately that it's been taking way too long to deliver our pizzas, so let's create a column to analyze how long it takes. Select ship date, then order date. Again, navigate to the ribbon and select Add Columns. And on the far right side, you're going to see a date drop down. Let's go to this to view all of our date functions, and here, let's select Subtract Days. We just added a column all the way on the right side that subtracted our days. Let's go ahead and double click this and rename it Days to Ship. As we just walked through all of our steps together, you can view on the right side a history of all the changes we made. Let's say, for instance, we decided to remove our order status column. We can right click and select Remove. Now that column is removed and that step appears on the right side. If we want to add the column back, simply select this X here and the column is now back in the dataset. The best way to view these steps are essentially as macros. Each time new data is added to our sales folder, each of these steps will automatically be applied. That way we don't have to manipulate our data each time. Now that we've completed all of our transformations, let's navigate to the Home tab and select Close and Apply. Congrats! We just dropped into Power BI Desktop with all the applied changes we made to our dataset. If we take a look at our data, we can see we've combined data from all three sheets. And since we linked our data to the entire sales folder, each time we bring in an additional revenue file, Power Query will automatically update all of our changes. Before we bring in 2023's Excel file, let's go ahead and generate two quick visuals. I want to see revenue by year, so let's select revenue and year. I would also like to see this visual in a chart, so let's go ahead and copy this visual by selecting it and pressing Ctrl-C, then pasting by pressing Ctrl-V. Lastly, make it a bar chart by selecting a bar chart from the visualization pane. Now look at that, I just received an email that 2023 sales data is now available. And it's true, if you go to the sales folder, you can see that our 2023 dataset is now available. Now in the past, we would have had to go into this file and make all the changes that we made to our 2020, 2021, and 2022 data. But since we use Power Query, we don't have to do anything extra. Rather, simply navigate to the Home tab in Power BI Desktop and select this refresh button here. And perfect, that's what we want to see. Our visuals now include 2023's information And if we take a look at our data, you can see that all the applied steps we formatted are in the exact same way. Now we just saved a bunch of time by automating this routine that we would have had to perform annually. Imagine if this was something you had to do monthly or even weekly. There's so much time to be saved. And great job, that's a quick tutorial on how to save time and clean up your data using Power Query. If you found this video helpful, please give it a thumbs up below. If you'd like to see more videos like this, hit that subscribe button so you never miss out in the future. And if you want to see me cover any other topics, leave a comment below. Welcome to the Startup Squad, and as all things small business, start small, start today. I'll see you in the next video.